Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Tell Me Your Story podcast. I'm your host, Chris Baker, and I'm thrilled to introduce our next guest, Vicki Ryle. Hauling in from the beautiful Cedar City in Utah, Vicki is a multi-talented on-air personality and weather forecaster with an impressive resume. You can catch her on TNN Radio and also EagleOnlineRadio.com, where she entertains and informs audiences with her signature charm and wit. As a weather forecaster for the RFN network, Vicki has a keen eye for the skies and provides timely and accurate updates to keep people informed. But that's not all. Vicki is also an accomplished voiceover artist, lending her talent to countless projects and commercials. If you need a voice that commands attention and captures the essence of your message, Vicki is definitely a person. And let's not forget her website, ToriHartVoice.com, where you can find samples of her work and learn more about her career. With her talent, experience, and her passion for broadcasting, Vicki Ryle is truly a force to be reckoned with in the industry. So sit back, relax, and get ready to be inspired as we dive into her story. Let's rock. Hello, everybody. Thank you for watching or listening to the podcast Tell Me Your Story. This is your host, Chris Baker, and today's special guest to tell her story. Talk about her career, her life, just all the above, really. I mean, let's give it up for Vicki Ryle.
Hey. If we had fireworks, that would be working right now, but we don't. It's good to see everyone. Thank you for listening.
Yes, welcome to the show. It is truly an honor and a privilege to have you on, just to hear your story.
Thank you. It's an honor that you asked me. I appreciate it. Thank you for being interested.
A platform for all the people. All right, let's kind of just jump into this. Let's talk about your early childhood. Where does it start? Where does it begin for you?
I was born a little baby in the woods. I was born in Santa Ana, California, which is out in Orange County, which is by Disneyland, in case people don't know where that is. I was adopted at birth by my two parents, Ron and May, and my adoptive mom, could not have children. So she adopted me. She wanted a little girl, and she got me. This woman's a saint, I'll tell you that. And so I grew up part of my childhood out in Orange County, spent a lot of time on the beach. My dad learned to sail, and so he bought a big boat. I guess it classifies as a yacht. I don't know, but so we spent many weekends going from Balboa Island out to Catalina Island. So I spent a lot of time out there. Was extremely spoiled little girl. I have an older brother from my mom's first marriage that was also adopted. He was 15 years older than me, and when he started getting interesting, when I was like about 5 or 6, he got married and moved out. So when I was about 7, both of my adoptive parents are from Canada. My dad was born in Montreal, and my mom was born in Ontario, Canada. So they decided to move back to Canada, and we moved to Vancouver Island. And I spent about 4 years in one of the most beautiful places that you could ever imagine to spend part of your childhood at. My dad bought me a pony, because I was spoiled. And we lived right on a pony. I had a Welsh pony named Cricket. I'll tell you, I was a very spoiled little girl. Lived right on the beach. We had our own private little area of the beach, and spent just a small portion of my childhood there, but it was probably some of my most favorite memories. Then when I was about 11, my parents split up, and my mom and I moved back to California. My dad stayed on Vancouver Island with his new wife. We won't go into that. And not bitter at all. I'm over it. And I have a half brother from his second marriage, and I'm 16 years older than him. But so it's kind of
question.
I'm raised like a child.
Did you keep the pony?
Oh, and then we moved to California, and I lived in Oceanside at that point, down towards San Diego area. Then we moved up to the Inland Empire, so I went to high school in San Bernardino. And I'm not going to explain where that is, because it's like 80 miles east of LA. It's a little bit out there. And then moved to Riverside, California, and that's where I met my first husband. And then we moved to Ontario, California, and I lived there for over 30 years. And he passed away in 2005. We had 4 children together, and then he had a daughter, so I have a bonus daughter from his first marriage. And then he passed away a few years later. I met my current husband, and in 2019 we moved to Cedar City, Utah, which is near St. George, Utah. But we live technically 20 miles outside of Cedar City, so we're rural. We live in a log cabin in the woods, and it's absolutely beautiful where we live. It's very quiet. There's no helicopters. There's no police sirens. It's just silence, and you can see the Milky Way over our house. So it's like very idyllic,
Man,
and that's
you're spoiled. I'm kind of
yeah.
jealous of you. You got the Milky Way, you got the ponies.
Oh, in the summertime, it's right over. We have, I mean, even worse, we have our master bedroom has a balcony, and that's where we see the Milky Way in the summertime, right over our master bedroom.
You gotta be kidding me.
No, it's the most beautiful place. It's gorgeous. It's really nice up here. So I'm very, I'm not the spoiled little girl anymore. I'm just very blessed. So I've had a lot of challenges in my life to take away that spoiledness and just to learn gratitude. So
Yes. I mean, and a lot of people need to really look into that gratitude. Just be accepting
yes,
of everything that you have in your life. How much of a
yes.
blessing it really is just to wake up.
Yeah, I mean, and be grateful for the trials in your life and the challenges, because there's good that comes out of there. You learn
Oh,
and you grow, even through the moments that are most heartbreaking. You're learning and you're growing through that. So you got to be grateful in everything, when things are good and when things are bad. Not always when they're good. You got
yeah.
to do it all.
When you make
Yeah.
mistakes, when you fail, and you're not learning from them, you're not doing
Oh,
it
yeah.
right. You're not doing it
No.
right.
Yeah, something's wrong. You got to
Something's
do that.
not happening, guys.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so
So
let's break down your story. I know you just kind of told us the whole thing, but let's
I gave you the fun one.
let let let's step back. Let's
Okay.
let's talk about like so growing up, what was it like
Mhm.
just growing up as a kid?
It was really great. Like
Wait,
I
wait,
said, I
wait.
was.
For the younger audience, what year is this? What's going on? Is there
Oh,
technology involved?
well, it was in the last century. We're going back to the last century now. So I, I grew up. I was born in 1966, so I grew up in the 70s, high school in the 80s. Um, so it was great growing up, because, like I said, I was, my dad just spoiled me rotten, and pretty much always got everything I wanted, which good and bad with that. But it was just, I mean, it was fun because we would go to Disneyland sometimes. Like I said, I spent lots of weekends on a yacht going out to Catalina Island.
You
And
were on
so
a
that was,
yacht? Dang, man.
yeah, I guess that's what my dad called it. After so many feet, it's classified as a yacht, I guess. So that's 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 what it was. It was called the Sunday's Child. And it was just, you could sleep down in it, you could cook in it down below. We had a TV down there. Um, but it was just so much fun. We'd go out, just my parents and I, or with my brother and family, and we just had fun. It was, every day was so much fun for me. It just was a good time.
Sounds like it.
Never had, yeah, yeah, never had problems. Everything was great. Um, it it was just fun. It was just fun during those times. And I was a super ornery little kid. Like, one time I wanted to walk home from school and I didn't get on the bus, and I walked home and then I got in a lot of trouble. But I hid from the bus driver. But I was really kind of independent, wanted to do my own thing. I didn't like no.
You're like, I'm doing my
So
own thing today. Watch out.
yeah, I'm just doing it. My poor mother, like I said, my mother's a saint. She just put up with me. She loved me no matter what. It was just a good childhood. It was a fun time to grow up, had friends. Because I always joke when, it's hard to say, like, what birth order am I, because you put me and my my two brothers together, I'm the middle. If it's just me and my older brother, I'm the youngest. Me and my younger brother, I'm the oldest. Or take them all away, I was pretty much raised, without siblings. So I'm kind of more of an only child, I guess.
He was the baby of the group, pretty much, it feels like.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I was okay by myself. I was okay playing with friends. It just, it was just, I don't know, it was just lots of fun. I mean, just think about no worries, and everything was always secure all the time.
Now, as you look back at it, does it kind of like do you think of like Hallmark classic movies that the when you describe the movie, like your childhood, like yeah, it was kind of like Home Alone. It was kind of like
I wasn't. I might have been a little ornery like Kevin, but it wasn't really Home Alone because they never forgot me. But
they never forgot me at the house,
they
but
never forgot me. They couldn't. Well, it was just lots of fun during that time. You just were really carefree. You didn't. Comparing like the childhood today where there's so much, technology, you didn't have that. Cartoons were on Saturdays and that was it. So you had to, get up and watch, Looney Tunes when they were on. I'm a big Looney Tunes fan and different things like that. And you played with your friends or you played by yourself,
wait,
and
wait, Looney Tunes? What's Looney Tunes? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
funny.
I'm just kidding.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
What is Looney Tunes?
Looney
It
Tunes,
sounds
look it up.
Looney.
Google it.
Just Google it.
It's amazing. Just Google it. I'm not telling anybody anymore. No.
Bugs Bunny. What's up, Doc?
What's up, Doc? What's up, Doc? Yeah.
But I agree with you. I mean, the childhood without technology, when it was
Yeah.
just cord phones, house phones,
Mhm.
when you had to be
Yeah.
outside, when you weren't being
Yes.
filmed, when you weren't filming your every
Yes.
move.
My dad did film stuff when I was younger, but apparently he got rid of all the tapes because he
But
said he didn't have a projector
even
anymore. I'm like,
like
whatever.
you say it like that though, the home videos is really
Yeah.
what was awesome back then. Like yeah, they
Yeah.
were kind of when you were a kid being filmed on your birthday or whatever. It was kind of embarrassing. Like come on, up.
Stop
Now
it.
it's not like how it is nowadays, kids, where
I know. It's
you're
crazy.
constantly on camera.
Yeah. Well, and two, like my dad was always like he had to have the best of everything before everyone else. So we had like one of the first VCRs. And so I loved Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and Wizard of Oz. And so he
Classic.
taped those for me and I could watch those over and over and I can recite them to you probably verbatim.
Well, that's what you could say too. Is like having grown up with the VCR, VHS tapes. You guys, it wasn't no CD. It was a tape. You had to put it in this machine and press
Yes.
play.
Yes.
It
And
didn't,
rewind.
and also it didn't go straight to the main menu like most of you guys would see. It had
Yeah.
previews, and then it would get to the movie.
Yes. And then they would let you watch it. So,
Then
I
you
mean,
could
but
watch it.
you get to do it. But I mean, like when I was growing up, I can't even tell you what it looks like. I just remember being able to watch Rudolph, and it was Rudolph, Charlie Brown Christmas, and Wizard of Oz over and over and over again. So,
Which one would you say is your favorite?
whew, I'd probably lean towards Wizard of Oz.
Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, but I'm a big Snoopy's fan. Yeah, Peanuts, Charlie Brown stuff.
Charlie Brown? No, I'm just kidding.
You Google that if you people want to. No,
Who is that?
Google. I'm old school.
I remember in our newspaper here in town, we used to actually have the Peanuts little comic strip. It would come every day.
Yeah, I used to. That's actually how I learned to read when I was 4. Was my dad would sit me on his lap when he'd come home from work, and he'd break out the newspaper and we'd read the comic strips. And I learned how to read through Peanuts, um, Wizard of Id, BC. That's another real funny comic. Just a bunch of them. I used to just and I used and I so when I went to kindergarten, I already knew how to read really well because of that.
Isn't that kind of cool? Learning just by the comic strips how to read. That's
Yeah,
actually
I
pretty
know.
interesting.
Yeah, it's very simple and funny. So and you got to teach kids to read with things that interest them. So those things interested me, and it was time with my dad. I knew he liked it. So
And at the same time, it probably developed your personality and your sense of humor.
oh yeah. So did moving every 3 years. You learn either to fight or get a really good personality and be funny. So I learned to be funny, not to
On the
fight.
move. So then, okay, stepping into like education, you're going into high school and stuff. Was you moving around a lot? You were able to make friends, or was it like kind of like all over the place?
It was I make friends pretty easily because like we moved almost every 3 to 4 years when I was growing up. So you just learn to adapt, and in high school, when I was doing I went through part of my elementary school and then junior high school, or I guess now we call it middle school, in Oceanside. And then that school, when you were in ninth grade, you were considered still middle school, and then you went to high school 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. But then when I moved to San Bernardino, you were in high school at ninth grade. So that's about the time I moved. So it was like me, I'm going, oh cool, man, I'm high school. I'm this and that, you know. So but it, you know, it's a little bit harder, but because I had such a sense of humor and because I make friends easily and I can be funny when the time is right, I made friends quickly and not with the teachers. So
Oh no.
they weren't appreciative of, you know, my comments, but that's not my problem. They set themselves up, and what am I supposed to do? You know, they're setting themselves up for the joke, and I just gotta say it, you know.
You couldn't help that you were sarcastic all the time. It just was there.
Oh yeah, a lot.
You're like, I can't help myself. I
I,
grew up
I know I would try so hard, but so funny.
like I gotta behave. I can't be the class clown, as most people would call it.
Yeah, yeah. Other people were more the class clown. I was just the class commentator.
You're like, I'm just a comedian.
Yeah, I did get thrown out of algebra for it, but you know, that's okay.
Get out of
Algebra's
here.
stupid. Who uses algebra anyway?
You got kicked out of there? How is that? Please
I got kicked,
explain.
threw me out. I forget what I said. His name was Mr. Beatty, and I don't know. He just, I guess I said some things one too many times, and he threw me out. And so that was my senior year of high school, and I needed the math credit. So they put me in business math class, which was more beneficial because you learned to budget. And back then we had checking accounts. So you learned how to balance your checking account. So it was a math that was beneficial to me, and I got my math credits and I still graduated.
What? So
Yeah,
she
pros and
finished,
cons.
guys. She finished. She didn't get kicked out completely because of their sarcasm, but
Well, I got kicked out of his class, and they wouldn't let me in any other class. His was the only one, I guess, that taught that algebra. So, but they put me in business math so I could graduate. So, and I was like, fine. I'll use adding over algebra.
the cool thing is like what you mentioned is that got my attention was the checking account. You guys were being taught how to actually use a checking account. That needs to be brought back. I think more than ever right now.
Oh my goodness, yes. And budgeting definitely needs to be brought back. How to budget your money, understanding credit card interest rates, and how you don't have to have everything right now. You can save for it. Yeah, all of that. And cooking. I had cooking class. That was probably one of my favorite classes. And I learned to cook. You know, my mom was a pretty good cook, but I learned more through the cooking class. And they need to bring that back up because I know kids today don't even know how to boil water half the time.
How do you do that?
Yeah. Oh, okay, here we go. Take the pot,
Huh?
measure the yeah. But yeah. And I was in so if you do you want an interesting high school story?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. So my claim to fame in high school, besides being I was on varsity cheerleader when I was a senior, but I was varsity flags, so we twirled the flags. I do you know the band Berlin?
Yes.
Okay. So Berlin came out to Riverside to Raincross Square for a concert, and me and my friends went to see them because we were big, huge fans. It was right when they were first coming out with the Pleasure Victim album, Metro. Those songs were the big songs from Berlin, and we went to go see them, and the band was sitting behind the merchandise table. So we were trying to get up there to say, you know, hi and buy a T-shirt, but then by the time we got there, they left. So we went into the auditorium. Now, this was before you had assigned seating, it was open seating. So that meant you could get to the front of the stage. You just was like, you know, crush of people getting to the front of the stage, but anybody could get to the front. You didn't have to pay for it. You just paid general admission into the auditorium. So we were sitting off to the side out where the backstage was, and just sitting there talking and waiting for the show to get ready to start. And we see the members of the band walk out, and one of them was John Crawford, who founded Berlin. And they walked out from backstage and they went over to the sound area. So we stalked them because that's what you do when you're a teenager. And we followed them over there, and they all stopped and they talked to us. They spent a good 5-10 minutes talking to us, asking us what we liked about the band, our favorite songs. So then they went back, and they went and they did the show. It was a fantastic show. So I went home and I took the back of the Berlin album. This is vinyl album, and it had Geffen Records address on the back. So I wrote John Crawford a thank you letter because I thought he was so sweet to spend the time with us. We're just a bunch of kids, and he wrote me back, and we started being pen pals back and forth. And then in one of my letters, I'd given him my phone number, and he actually called me one day. And we got to talking, and we started corresponding back and forth on the phone. And I was in journalism at the time, and I had said, hey, I got approval from my teacher about getting an interview with him. And I asked him, I said, hey, can I do an interview with you? I'm in journalism, and he's like, definitely. So we couldn't figure out a place where to meet. So I ended up going to his house out in North Hollywood.
What?
So I'm a 17-year-old dorky little teenager. And I go out there and took my cassette tape player and recorded and had about a 2-hour interview with John Crawford in his house. And he was just the sweetest guy. He's just amazing. And
Hold on, wait.
afterward,
Wait.
Yeah.
So how were you feeling during this interview? Were you
I
like
was so
butterflies?
nervous.
Low is 54. Thursday, we're going to continue with more sunny skies. Highs will be in the upper 80s with our overnight lows in the mid 50s under clear skies. Friday, we're going to bump up those temperatures a little bit more. Highs will be 94 degrees under sunny skies. I'm Tori Hart. Now more of the Black Hills greatest hits.
Welcome back from the commercial break. Okay. So,
I'm like, what the heck? What did I do? I didn't touch anything.
so before we were brutally cut off at a commercial break, she was beginning to tell us about her interview at the house.
So yeah, I was super nervous. I mean, so I guess I'm really trusting, and never did a thought come into my head like, oh my gosh, you're going to a strange guy's house, you're 17. That was my mom thinking that, but since I'm so honored, I'm like, I'm going, and so I'm going. So I went. I was nervous just for the interview, and like I'm a kid. I've never interviewed anybody before.
No, I mean, especially like you said, Berlin was probably huge at the time. So
they
you're
were huge.
talking
So this
to the
was
lead
19.
singer.
This was the December 1983. So they were huge, and so but he was great. And I asked my friends, what would you ask him? Getting question ideas from them and stuff. So I had some questions, and the interview was just great, and it flowed, and it was just two friends talking, and kind of like this, and then so I wrote up the whole article. I wrote up my whole interview, and they gave me like the entire newspaper for my high school. Like the whole paper was me in my interview with John. Yeah, it was so cool. And I didn't think about taking pictures. I didn't think about getting pictures. So I had to like scrounge pictures like out of newspapers and, to put them in there, but it did get me the respect of one of my English teachers who didn't like my sarcasm so much. He came up to me, he goes, that was a really brave thing you did. You did a great job. It was a fantastic interview. And I was like, whoa, he likes me now. Can you give me a better grade? No.
Yeah, bump up my grade, man. You liked them before, but come on.
Yeah. So him and I stayed friends for a few years after that. He gave me like passes to concerts and signed stuff. When he was on the road, it was really cool. I got a bunch of postcards and letters. When the album Love Life came out that had No More Words on it, he sent me a Valentine's card with the cover of that album on it, and then the inside had some of the lyrics to it, and he just wrote a little personal message and stuff. So we stayed friends for a while. I knew when he got married. I have pictures of his kids when they were little, and yeah. So that was my high school claim to fame. So I think
that's a cool claim to fame, though, to be honest. The fact that, you just out of curiosity decided, like, okay, I'm going to write to them just to say thank you. And then all of a sudden it turned into a friendship that you said lasted.
It was just gratitude. It was just having gratitude because they didn't have to sit and talk to us at all. They did.
So everybody that's watching right now, listening, take notes. This is why we talk about gratitude. Be thankful for everything around you, because in the end, it might just pay off.
It does, no matter what.
So once you were done with high school, did you go right to college or did you travel? What was next?
I did go to college. I went to San Bernardino Valley College because I really wanted to get in. Well, what I originally wanted to do was like be a music engineer to record artists,
Mhm.
or be in radio, or be an actress, or be a killer whale trainer. I had like all these ideas.
Like I got it.
Yeah, I got it all. I mean, I even looked into training school, but I didn't want to live in Simi Valley, which is like really hot.
You're like, no, good.
I'm not doing this. I want to live by the beach.
I'm good.
So I went to San Bernardino Valley College, offered like a kind of as a DJ class or what kind of recording class. So I went there for a while, but I had a hard time because of algebra. And I don't know, I was kind of all over the map because I'm ADD, so and I didn't understand how to make it focus, and I didn't take any medicine for it. So I decided I want to make money, that school was wasting my time. And so I started working at a pharmacy in Rialto, California. So I was a pharmacy driver for a while. And that was super fun. I liked that a lot. And then I met my first husband, and he was he was getting a divorce from his wife, and he had his little girl. So I was like, well, I'll stay and I'll take care of, little girl, because we were so in love. And I'm a dorky little 20-year-old at the time.
You're like, I'll take care of your family. I'll take care of you and everybody.
Yeah. And then he ended up, custody went back to the mother, and then I ended up working at a pet store in Riverside, California, in the mall. And that was fun. All my jobs have always been interesting. They have to interest me or I won't do them.
That's a big change though. The pharmacy to pet store. Like,
I know, right? They're always like, you're doing something different with all of them. So for me, sitting still in like an office is not going to fly very well. So I'm always doing something different.
see, the only difference though from the pharmacy to the pet store is you were always working with animals.
True.
Like,
Yeah, and then I ended up, got married, and then I was pregnant with our first son, and then we moved to Ontario because he got a job at the school district out there, and then I just stayed home from then on. So then I was still working with animals in a different
still
realm.
working with animals.
Whoa, they know it. They know I love them. So I was a stay-at-home mom, but that doesn't mean you were just staying at home eating bonbons and watching soap operas all day. I mean, I was
What?
PTA
Come
president.
on.
I know, I wasn't watching my stories, my bonbons.
You wasn't crying watching the soaps.
I wasn't. No. I did watch. My mom lived with us all the way till she passed away. So yeah, I did kind of still watch because she always did. So, but I mean, you're a stay-at-home mom, so you're raising children. I was PTA president. I was active in our church community. I was always doing stuff, baseball,
You kept
team
yourself
mom.
pretty busy.
Yeah, kind of running all those years. So, I don't know what else. What would you like me to share?
Getting blown up over here. Watch out. So how long was it before you started, how long were you at stay at home before you started venturing out and starting to get into like a new career path?
Well, I got forced to do that when my husband passed away in 2005. Only because I knew, like, I still had my 4 boys. They were still under 18, when their father died. So I received Social Security. So I was blessed. You talk about blessings, that I had enough money. I didn't have to run out and go find a job. So I had enough money that came in just through Social Security and a couple of life insurance policies that floated us, that all of our needs were always met. So I'm like a real big person about like paying tithing. I have a real strong testimony about tithing and the blessings that come from that, spiritually and temporally. And we were so blessed temporally. And then it was funny because like I've always had a love of radio. It was always in the background, and acting. But I never wanted to do acting because I, strangely enough, would get embarrassed on stage. So I know. So weird. But I love radio. I listen all the time. Always grew up with it. Big fan. Back when my kids were growing up, it was on the Los Angeles radio station KLOS 95.5, Mark and Brian morning show, and was hooked on that. I listened to that endlessly all morning long. They got me through so much. And so after he passed away, I was like, well, I better go back to school and do something like real, because I knew Social Security is going to run out. All these kids are going to turn 18 eventually, whether we like it or not. So I went back to school. It was probably about 4, 5 years, maybe after he passed away. And I thought, well, I'll be a physical therapist assistant. That'll be fun because I like to exercise. I like to help people. That'll be good. I'll do that. That's a real job. So I went and I took a class. I really liked it. I passed it, which I wasn't thinking I'd be good at school anymore because I was like, oh, I'm too old. I'm too this.
I've been out too long, man. I can't think straight.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm too long on the tooth. I can't get in there. So I did that class, but then I had to find another class because I needed biology and it was all filled. So I needed like a placeholder class so I wouldn't lose like my place in line getting classes. And so I saw a class that was Introduction to Radio, and I'm like, well, that'll be easy. And so I took it, and day one, I was like, that's what I wanted to do. That's what I forgot I wanted to do. Now I remember what I was wanting to do before.
Here we go.
There we go. So I took the class. Had a great. They have a great program at Mount San Antonio College out in Walnut, California. It's run by radio pros that are in the business, and so it's good to get your foot in the door with people like that. Our teacher was really good, but she was just an interesting person. Let's just say that. But I ended up getting my very first radio job in news production at KNX News Radio in Los Angeles. And so what that job entails is you're doing all the audio editing for all the news stories that are going out in the air, and lining up reporters when there's live stories. You have them live, ready to go on air. So it's very fast paced and insane. But it was such a great experience and a learning experience. And I got to produce with my teacher, with the head of the radio program. She had a community affairs program on Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim Radio. So I used to line up all the guests for her program. So that was fun too, and doing that. And then I ended up working at, it took me 7 years to get my 2-year degree. I have Associates of Science in radio, on-air radio broadcasting. That's because of algebra. Everything is back to algebra.
Hey.
I would have been out of there in 3 years, but anyway, it took a long time.
You did it though. You got there.
I did it. Yeah, I'm a little tenacious. I'm a dog with a bone sometimes. So.
You finished.
It's like, and then I worked at the news station because they were CBS radio, and the country station I wanted to work at was K-Frog, and they were owned by CBS radio. So I thought, well, I'll get my foot in the door here. And even though I am a news junkie and I love news, I didn't want that to be my life because I knew how insane it was. So it was like, okay, well, let's, or do this. And that actually did help because I started stalking one of the personalities at K-Frog Radio kind of on Twitter a little bit. But because I was part of the CBS family, it wasn't really stalking. And so I got to know Scott Ward through Twitter, and he had me on the air for something one time, and I applied for a job. I left KNX Radio. It was just very stressful. Besides driving in LA traffic 4 days a week, the news is it's hard. And I ended up being blessed with selling some property, and so I was able to have some finances that I could take time off and be there with my 2 youngest as they finished up high school. And so I was out of work, and then I was like going, well, I'm going to apply. I saw a job at K-Frog for a broadcast operator. So a board operator, basically, you make sure the commercials are playing is what you're doing. You're babysitting. You're just babysitting a board and listening to cool country music, and you got a great sound system and you crank things up. So I'd applied for a job, and then I forgot about it. And then about 6 months later, I get a phone call from Scott Ward at K-Frog, and And I'm like, why are you calling me? And he goes, I'm program director, which is, he's now the boss of the station. And he goes, I was looking for a board operator, and I saw your name. It was on an application. He goes, and I know you. And I was like, oh, okay. And he goes, so we talked for 10 minutes as a phone interview. He wanted to know what I wanted to do. And I was like, well, I like to do voice acting. I would love to be a DJ, be on air and stuff. And he goes, oh, okay, well, let's set up a day and you come in. And so like a couple of days later, I came in for the interview, but I walked in there and I'm just like a geek. He's like, here's Heather Broadway, or here's, and I'm like, oh my God, I listened. I'm like trying to geek out too much. I'm like, yeah. But inside I'm like, fangirl was going off. I know. I'm like, oh my God. And I'm like, yeah, what's up? What's up, Pepper? You're cool.
Hey, how's it going? What's up, man? How you doing?
Yeah. I'm like, hey, yeah, you cool. What's up? Yeah. But inside I'm a nutcase. And I go into his office and so I'm ready for the interview. I've got my resume and I'm all ready. And he goes, you got the job, right? And I was like, this is the best interview I've ever had in my whole life. It was like I already had the job.
I don't well, that's what I say. Like nowadays, a lot of people don't realize that. You get it like when you're going in for that interview, that's how you gotta look at it. You got the job, man. They called you for a reason.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But don't be too cocky.
No, don't be too cocky.
Yeah. Be confident. You have to find that thin line of confidence and cocky,
But for your story is really cool because it kind of goes back to the high school thing where you were talking to him. And then it worked out the same way. You were talking to him on Twitter, and then he came across your resume. It's like, yo, I know this one.
I know her. Yeah, she's crazy enough. Yeah,
she's crazy.
So,
I like her.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it was great. I got to be on the air at K-Frog, and they have other stations that they take care of that I got to do on air work. And I was like, I was in the middle of the night person, but I got to work with some of the greatest talents out there in radio, and they were so amazing and mentoring and loving, and answered all my dumb questions and helped me out when I was struggling, and they were great. And then when we moved to Utah, of course, I had to leave that, and that was hard. But
Wait,
it ended up.
Hold up before we go on. Talk about kind of dig into a little bit about how it was when you first started interviewing people, when you started giving those questions. Did you have something, did you write it up? Did you do your homework before? Like anybody you interviewed, how did it go?
Well, yeah, you always do your homework, and that even goes with when you're applying for jobs and stuff. Do your homework for the company that you're going to work for. Know a little bit about the people that you're going to be working for, so that you go in there kind of knowing things ahead of time, So that was, anytime I interviewed anyone, you did your homework. I mean, now it's easier because you can, Google things a little bit. But when I was in high school, you just knew what Tiger Beat magazine said about Berlin or whatever, So you just have to have a curiosity about people, and people, they do enjoy talking about themselves, obviously, because I'm sitting here talking to you. So
here we are.
Here we are. I could turn this interview around in about 2 seconds on you, and we could interview Chris.
Okay,
so,
I'm cool with that.
Yeah,
I got some stories to share.
Yeah, ooh, I like that. But that's just it. You just do a little research. Doesn't take long. Do a little homework. Write down your questions, which is good to do, because I don't care how young or good you are with your memory, you're still going to forget to ask something.
Whatever.
But the thing you have to remember is, don't be stringent on those questions. Don't say, I'm only asking these questions, because when you ask a question and then you get a response, sometimes that response takes you to another place, like what you're doing now. It takes you go back. Oh, wait a minute. What was that like? Or what was this like? Or you did what when you were,
Say what?
So yeah, those questions are just kind of like guidelines that maybe you won't get to them, but that's okay.
Yeah. I mean, just how cool. I mean, it probably takes you back just talking about just some of the interviews that you've been in.
Yeah.
Who would you say, okay, out of your whole career, who was the most, were you ever like really nervous going into an interview? Like an interview, I mean, sorry.
I don't think so. I mean, like, cause honestly, unfortunately, K-Frog, I just did a lot of DJ things. But I just love talking to the DJs and learning from them. That's probably, like, I don't know, just to me, I guess, just talking to the people I work with, because everyone I work with are well known in that industry, in that area, so when I kind of know that, then I'm kind of like, wow, this person's won so many golden mic awards, and they're talking to me, they want my opinion on something, and I'm just like, whoa, I have a friend right now through church who's a Tony Award winning actress, and I work with her, and I just sit there and I go, this is so cool. I try to be too much of a geek because I love Broadway,
Yeah.
but it's everyone's just people in the end, so if you just don't get too geeky and just talk to them.
All right. Everybody wants to know: are you still on radio?
Am I still at radio?
Are you still doing it?
Yeah, I am actually. I'm doing because radio's really changed, obviously, Um, and actually, it's so funny you asked that because I'm on the advisory board at Mount San Antonio College for the radio program, and we just had a meeting, and they're going to be changing the name of the radio program to streaming because people don't listen to the radio. Let's be honest, kids, they stream everything, right? Everything's streaming. I mean, you might listen to radio in your car, but what are you listening to? You're probably listening to Sirius. You're probably listening to something that's streaming.
Well, I would say like nowadays, like people, me especially, I listen to iHeart, I listen to YouTube. I mean,
Mm-hmm. They're all
even
streaming,
like
right?
even in the car, I'm not really like listening to the radio.
Yep. So everything's streaming. So you have to start changing your program around to that to get people into the program. So there's two streaming stations I work for. It's called Rebel Media, and I work on TNN Radio, which is a country station. I'm on there Saturdays. I have to think Eastern time because I do it in Mountain time all the time. So Eastern time, 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. on tnnradio.com. And then on Eagle Online Radio, that's Monday through Friday. They do 80s and 90s music, right up my alley. So that's 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern on eagleonlineradio.com.
All right, some interesting questions to ask you.
Okay, I hope I have an answer.
How has your experience been working as an on-air personality? I mean, for TNN Radio and Eagle Online Radio.
It's been interesting because I do it all from home, which is incredible. I love it. I can do it ahead of time because everything is voice tracked mostly, which is where you record things ahead of time. And so that's kind of neat. I can set my own hours as long as I just have it in before it airs. It's good. But it's kind of hard in the same way because I don't have people around me. I'm not in a traditional studio at a radio station. I don't get to really talk to people live on the phone or anything, and I kind of like interacting with audiences. They're fun. It's kind of like you're alone a lot, but in radio you're actually talking to yourself all the time, so not much of a difference. But it's just different in that way. I mean, there's less chance for me screwing things up, so that's a pro.
Yeah, that's
But
what I was thinking too. Like, you get to record it ahead of time. You're not live, so you get to
right,
actually, if you do
yeah,
choke up a little bit,
exactly. When I choke up, it's like nope, delete, do it again.
not today.
But yeah, I mean, but there's a rush that's not there anymore because when I was at K-Frog and I would do overnights, that was live. So there was a rush when you crack that mic open when you're coming out of a song, and you better get your timing down right because that next song is coming in at 12 seconds. So don't be talking something that's 30 seconds, you know. So that challenge isn't there. So this, I could go to work for stations out here in Utah, but my husband and I, we talked a lot about it, and because I live like 20 miles outside of town, and we have weird things that we don't have in California, like weather. Although I can't say that Southern California is getting hammered right now, and there's snowing where I used to live, which is weird. But so and a lot of times it'd be overnight shifts and things, and I'm not a fan of staying up all night. I'm not 20 anymore. I mean, when I was 20, it was cool, but now it's like, nah.
No, thank you.
I like to sleep. So it's a choice. It's a choice I'm making to stay home and do it this way. But I miss the interaction in the station.
Now, did you also say that you are a weather forecaster as well?
Yeah, I work for a I work for radio forecasting. I can't say W's and R's. I have a problem with those. Um, yeah, like Red Ribbon Week is really hard for me to say. Or we used to have a sponsor in California. It was Wilson Creek Winery. That is the hardest thing for me to say.
Wilson Creek.
Winery. Yeah, yeah. Say it real fast. You sound like Elmer Fudd. But so yeah, it's Radio Forecast Network, and I do radio forecasts. I do weather forecasts for 17 stations across the U.S. and Canada. And so yeah, and that's really fun. So I did do some weather. You're out in Ohio. We were talking earlier, and I just can't remember what part, but you guys are having wacky weather.
Well, yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, I could only imagine being a weather forecaster out here in the state of Ohio, where,
Oh yeah,
like I was saying earlier, where it's like 70 degrees one day, and then all of a sudden the next day it's snowing and it's 10 degrees.
yeah, yeah. I've had a lot of weather with that because of that storm. All of that came across. It was like in Alabama, it's like 85, 85. It's going to be 40 tomorrow.
We get a
It's
lot
just
of
like,
bipolar weather here in Ohio.
yeah, I told you, Mother Nature's a woman. She's on menopause. It's hot and cold.
Something ain't right with this lady. Come on, she needs a cup of coffee or something. Man. Get herself
Or a
straight.
cold drink or something. I don't
Get
know.
her something going on here.
Yeah.
What are some of the challenges you face as a weather forecaster?
Getting things on in time. Because sometimes, so a lot of my weather are evening and overnight, so I don't have to have things on till 5 p.m. And so with my ADD brain, I can go la 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 la. Oh, I got 15 minutes. I better get down there and start doing my work. I just, there's not a lot of challenge because weather forecasting and being whether you're a meteorologist or just like me pretending to be one on the air, you can be wrong and you're not gonna get fired. So
That's a blessing.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, they ain't gonna fire me. I don't care if I was wrong. So it's just making sure you get things right most of the time. That I'm not reporting the weather from another state because my brain went somewhere else for a minute.
I'm thinking to myself too. Do you get a lot of hate mail if you get like the weather wrong?
I don't know because it would go to my bosses, not me. So they haven't fired me yet, and they keep saying I'm doing a good job. So I'm sticking with that.
Like somebody is convinced, like deep down in their heart, that you can like you're telling what to do.
Yeah, yeah. I like the word allegedly a lot. We use that in news all the time. So it's like allegedly it's gonna rain, but it might not. I don't know.
About to see what
I
happens.
tell people you might want to grab your umbrellas. That's what I say. You
Might want to
want
grab
to
the umbrellas. Might want to
yeah,
grab
grab
a
your
pair of shorts.
umbrellas. Yeah, exactly. Grab your umbrellas and a kite because it's gonna be winter. So
I think that's how I would be here in Ohio. If I was on the Weather Channel, I feel like you might need a jacket. You might need a pair of shorts. It's that time of the year, guys. Grab a pole
yeah,
while you're at it because it's going to get windy.
grab a jacket and your shorts because we don't know.
Might need a parachute as well.
Yeah, exactly.
You're going to go fly.
You might need a boat to get home today. We don't know.
You might need a boat as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So share some of your most memorable moments being on radio.
I'm trying to think. Being on radio. So one of them was when I was very first starting at K-Frog. It was the first Saturday I had the helm where I was, babysitting the board. And it was right after the Route 91 shooting that happened out in Las Vegas, where they had that gunman and who killed a lot of people out at the concert that was happening out in Vegas. And one of the people who was killed, one of my good friends, that was one of his friends. So I had known, that her funeral was coming up on that happened to be that Saturday that I was running the station. And I didn't know her, I just knew her through my friend. And somebody called the station and they wanted to dedicate, and they happened to be friends with the same woman who was killed. So they said that they wanted to dedicate Red Dirt Road by Brooks and Dunn because that was her favorite song. They were on their way to the funeral, and I wasn't on air, but I could manipulate music, and I was like, absolutely. I mean, I couldn't say no. I'm like, of course, I'm going to do this for you. So I went through. I found a song that I could swap out the Brooks and Dunn song that was about the same time length. Was going to cause a problem. So I put it on there, and it's playing, and our hotline goes off. And usually that's your boss. So I pick up the phone, and it was my boss, Scott Ward, and he's like, I programmed all the music for the weekend, and I don't remember putting that song on right there. And I was like, okay, I'm fired. That's it. My first day here, I'm out. So, but I told him, I go, and I explained to him the phone call I got and everything. And he was real quiet, and he goes, okay. He goes, I know you, time wise, you found a song that was the same time. He goes, that's a good thing you did. He goes, I'll let this one slide, but don't do that.
Slap on the
Okay.
wrist.
Yeah, slap on the wrist. I'm like, whew, okay, I got it saved on that one. News, in the news, we always had interesting things happen. Like I always said, describe the news, working in news is like you can go from 0 to heart attack in about 10 seconds. And this particular day, we had a shooting at Cal State Northridge. So we had sent a reporter out to that. And then 10 minutes later, this airplane crashed on a golf course.
Wow.
Well, the pilot of this airplane was Harrison Ford. And it was if you want to look back, when he had done that. So I had a reporter at the golf course. I had a reporter at Cal State Northridge for the shooting. I had another reporter at Cedar Sinai because they're waiting to have these 3 reporters stacked up online, because every 10 minutes we went live. We just kept going live to each of these reporters. And it was just this heart-stopping, keep them going, make sure you don't lose them, which could happen at any moment. A cell phone could die, and all heck would break loose. And then what's his name, Harvey Levin from TMZ. He, you see him, talking when they used to do the TMZ TV show. Well, he called up, and I answered the phone, and he was pretty ticked because we had announced it was Harrison Ford. We knew it before TMZ knew it.
Oh.
And our producers put it on the air that it was Harrison Ford. So Harvey Levin's calling up, yelling, and I'm like, just a minute. And I'm like calling my producer. I'm like, Greg, Harvey's online too. And I hear him pick it up. He goes, yeah, Harvey. And he's all quiet. He goes, well, whatever, Harvey. Well, sometimes we're going to break news before you, Harvey. So stop it. All right. Get over it. And he hung up on him. I'm like, ooh.
Yeah.
So, yeah, those are a couple kind of memorable moments that my memory can remember.
And then those, like, kind of talk about a little too, like when you go on to stuff like that and you're dealing with serious reporting. I mean, everything on the news is serious reporting, but there's a lot that takes place in it. When it comes to reporting, like you have to, like a guy I had on just recently, Nick, says it's the human part of us where we have to go out there and get the story, but at the same time we have to be, compassionate for that person. We gotta say, like, because they're dealing with a loss of a loved one or something just happened. Kind of talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I would see that through the reporter's eyes. We would have some really just incredible, compassionate reporters, and it was so hard to watch them talk to people who are in the middle of their worst heartbreak moment. And it's just sometimes just being a support for them and letting them talk about what they're dealing with. And I don't know how they would go out there and do that. I couldn't go, I don't think, interview anybody who had just lost their loved one, like in a car accident, in a plane accident, murdered or whatever. I don't know how these people do it. It's hard. I will tell you, behind the scenes in a newsroom, you have a bunch of the most morbid people you ever meet sometimes, because that's how they dealt with it, was through sometimes being a little bit morbid on some comments and stuff. But that would be your producers and stuff, not the on-air people, because they can't be. But sometimes they're just a little dark, and it's hard to find a light sometimes being in that dark. But you understand where they're coming from because you're hearing it and you're seeing it firsthand. And you just, I don't know how they do it. Sometimes they called me a light in the studio because I would try just to be me, just to be nice and loving and find something that wasn't morbid maybe in the day, or something that would bring some truth to them a little bit,
Just being human.
yeah, just be sarcastic. That sarcasm helped me a lot in the newsroom. So
That's what I was thinking too. I was like, it could have been like both both ways. It could have got you in trouble sometimes, but at the same time beneficial. Like, yeah, this
it
is
was a good coping mechanism that helped out a lot.
like, yeah,
Still is.
it's cool.
Yeah, yeah.
So you said,
No.
okay, changing the topic a little bit. I know everybody was kind of getting deep into it, but we got to carry on with the story.
Yes,
But let's
sir.
talk. Okay, so you said you grew up watching Looney Tunes and stuff. Did you get into any voiceover work at all?
I've done some voiceover work. Mostly, my oldest son has a marketing company,
Okay.
and so I've actually got probably most of my work through him trying to break into the industry because it's really hard to do. Um, so I've done some promotional videos for him. I've done what have I done? Oh, like a company that for their phone answering machine. Please dial 1. Please hold. That kind of stuff. Please.
That was you?
That was me.
Oh
No.
my, that voice sounded familiar.
Yeah. If you ever called a plastic surgeon in Georgia, that's where it is.
Uh,
But shh, we won't tell anybody.
I'm
They
not,
did great work.
I haven't got no work done. What are you talking about?
I mean, no, this is all natural. But so that's been most of my work is just like, and those things are on YouTube. So I've done that for him. But I audition a lot. So I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'll get some bigger thing.
Who have you auditioned for? What voices?
Um, well, I've worked actually. I am a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and they have a production company. So I've been applying, actually auditioning there. So I'm hoping to get into something there, whether it's reading scriptures. Actually, I'm gonna audition for a narration project that I hope I get, reading children's Bible stories. So
That'd be kind of cool.
yeah, I'm gonna practice all weekend. I'm super excited about it. So, but we'll see. So nothing really big at this point. It's like I said, it's hard to break into. There's so many people that are so amazing, that are doing it. So it's just trying to get foot in the door a little bit. But
Just
I'll do
kind of
stuff
getting
for
into that field, that industry. Just, it's tough.
It's hard. It is really hard. It's a lot of work. But my son's great because he pays me really good. So I'm always underselling myself, and he's like, "No, my client's paying me this much money. I'm paying you this much." I'm like, "Okay, we'll do it."
If you want to
So
pay me that much, go ahead.
yeah, I don't care, and they seem to like it. So
Yeah,
good.
I mean, if you want me to be the plastic surgeon,
Yeah, yeah. Hello, let's cut your face open.
like, do you want your arm replaced? Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Which one? Yeah.
Which one would
Do you
you
want
like?
the Yeah, exactly. So
What
yeah.
what other ones have you done besides the blast?
At this point, because I'm jumping late into the game into everything, so that's really about it right now. I would like I don't know, I would like to do something on a bigger scale. I'd like to do a national commercial. That would be fantastic.
That'd be awesome.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, but I'm not there yet, and that's okay. I'm okay if I never do anything bigger than what I've done for my son. That's fine. I'm
Yeah,
all right.
maybe that's
Yeah.
it. Maybe you'll be on the rise with your son, and that's where it'll
Yeah.
happen.
That's what I keep. Yeah, but he does marketing, but then he also opened up his own rage room out. They live in Georgia, him and his wife and family.
Did you say
So he's
rage?
busy with that. A rage room, yeah.
What?
He's doing really good with that. Yeah, it's awesome. I'm really proud of him to do that. Yeah.
He's following in his mom's footsteps, huh?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, rage. I don't know where that came from. I was such an angel as a mother. I don't know what he's angry about. Whatever.
Spoiled her whole life, but she has
Yes.
this inner rage that
Exactly.
she wants to release.
Let it out.
Okay, everybody's scared now. I'm just kidding.
Sorry.
It happened.
These children, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid.
Are you okay? So wasn't this lady just talking about doing Bible covers, doing voiceovers for the Bible? Her kid,
Raging.
now she's going crazy.
Exactly. I'm the perfect model for that. Yeah.
Perfect. She's hired.
Yeah.
We need her.
Hired. She's hired because she's insane.
Definitely need her in the Old Testament.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
A lot of stuff that happened in there. Perfect.
There's a lot of raging in that Old Testament. I got that down.
Perfect. She works. Hire her.
Yep.
And now, as like I'm thinking about it too, because now we live in the age of technology as it's getting so advanced. Surprised you haven't thought about doing that. Like open up your own like website, channel, or something, and just
Yeah, it's so funny you said that because I was thinking about it actually the other day. My son put up. I do have a website that he's put me on. That he made for me, and but I don't know. I've thought about maybe I could do like meditation voice things, and my husband plays music, so maybe he could do my music for me, and
that'd be cool.
I can have that very calm voice about breathe in, hold, breathe out, or something.
Release. Release.
Release.
Oh.
I know. I listen to those, and I don't know if they make sense, but anyway, I could do them.
I mean, then you said like your husband, he plays the music, and that would work
Yeah.
out perfectly. So you want to get copyrighted for nothing? You just be playing.
Yeah, play something really calm.
Then
And
all
he's
of a
such a
sudden,
rock star. Maybe we could do it with rock and roll.
that's what I was thinking too. Then all of a sudden he'd just start just wailing on it.
Jamming out. That'd be awesome.
You're like, oh,
I
I'm
don't
so
know.
relaxed. And then, what the heck?
But now I have rage.
Rage.
Raging.
Raging.
There might be a market for that. Who knows?
Hey, we need it. It might
Yeah,
actually
we
help.
do.
Torito Mexican Restaurant. They are KQLH supporters and a KQLH listening post where you can hear Studio 92.5 live while you are dining. Join Studio 92.5, SNJ Radio, and Steven Arano Jr. Sundays from 4 p.m. until 9 p.m. for live requested music on the patio and the outdoor dining area.
Welcome back from the commercial break.
We're back.
Before we got cut off again, rudely.
Again? How dare it?
How dare they cut us off? They can't stop us.
No.
It's because we were raging.
Ciao.
All right. So let's talk about your upcoming projects. Any new opportunities you're excited about in your career?
Right now, no, we're just kind of staying steady with doing the streaming radio and the forecasting and just auditioning. So it's just kind of, I hate the word stagnant, but it's just kind of steady right now. That's where the ship is headed, just that way right now. Always looking for new opportunities, always keep my eye out for stuff.
If somebody gave you a voiceover job for a cartoon, who would it be?
Man, I hope it'd be something Southern. I don't know many cartoons. But
No?
we can have a little Southern cartoon going on, it can't cause me no never mind,
You could be Boomhauer. You could be his wife. You remember King of the Hill?
Oh my gosh. I had I guess it would be a nephew-in-law. He's passed away, but he sounded dead on like Boomhauer, just how he talked. He talked us like that, I ain't gonna cause me no never mind. I don't know why he would talk like that. I'm like, oh my God, you're Boomhauer. And he goes, I don't know who you're talking about. I don't talk like that.
I thought
Like,
I would say
talk
the funniest King of the Hill episode with Boomhauer was when they were the firemen. They were working in the fire department. And they're all telling their different stories how the fire broke out. And then he that was the funniest one because you could never understand Boomhauer. But then when he's explaining his story, like you hear him clear and everybody else is talking like Boomhauer.
Yeah.
Like what?
I love that. That is such a well-written show. I wish I was Nancy Cartwright sometimes. I got into it. Because those people, man, Simpsons, they made out.
Oh, they got it made.
Like bands. All of them. They make bang.
All right. How do you balance out all your different roles and responsibility as a radio personality, weather forecaster, and a voiceover artist? How do you do it?
I have a magic wand. I sprinkle fairy dust. It's just about prioritizing time. Like in the morning when I get up, I always give my time to our Heavenly Father, and I pray, and I always read my scriptures and study and try and learn a little bit more, and always pray for opportunities to be of service to others. And it just seems like my days go better and everything falls into place when I start my day that way.
Yeah.
If I just get up and just jump in and do whatever, it's always going to be a nightmare and nothing's going to go right.
And now
So
I want to step in. Like a lot of people really look at you crazy when you say stuff like that, but it's the truth. It's the truth. It's like
yeah,
everybody's so the world tries to make the Bible look like this boring story, but everything that you're looking for in life, anything that you're dealing with, anything that you've gone through it's there, it's written. Anything that you want to think about is in that
yeah,
book. And the thing is, it's not, you don't have to read the King James version anymore. It's like there's
right,
many versions of the Bible. They all point to the same story. They're just
right.
written in a way that you could understand. Like me, for example, I read The Voice, which is kind of like New Age, helps you understand a lot better.
Mhm.
And really, the more you get into scripture, you dig into it, you learn the stories, especially if you read. If you want, like, my example for you, like, advice for you, I should say, is if you want life advice, open the book of Proverbs. Go in there,
Oh yeah,
read the whole
Proverbs.
book. It will teach you how to live your life correctly.
Yeah,
And if you want to learn how Christianity became what it is now and is continuing to grow until he comes back again, go in Acts. Read
yeah,
the book of Acts.
yeah. Well, it's like I tell people who don't believe in God or whatever, I'm like, you know what? If everyone just followed the 10 commandments, even though when Jesus came back and gave the Sermon on the Mount, that was a higher law from the 10 commandments. But if you just follow those 10 commandments, don't steal, don't cheat, don't talk bad about people, don't have affairs, don't covet, if you just did all that, don't murder, you know how great the world would be. It would be amazing because we would all be just being good. And then if you take it and love each other, like the Lord says, first and great commandment is to love him. The second is to love your neighbor as much as you love him. If we all did that, contention, Satan wouldn't have any power.
No.
It would be so amazing to live like that,
A
but I mean,
world.
unfortunately, as we do read, we know we know the end of the story. We know we got to go through a lot of junk to get there, but it would be amazing if people just did that now, just did it in your own world, just,
Like, what was the song say? Everybody's gotta go through hell to get to heaven.
yeah, exactly. Well, we've all been, I mean, and like when I see people that have like really like hard time, like their stories are harder than mine. Mine's hard for me, but there's people that have gone through a lot worse who have lost children to suicide or to cancer or something. I mean, and I know we all go through these things. We're here to learn. We go through our personal trials, but we go through our trials to help other people too. Because I was a widow at a young age, so I can help other widows with children, or widowers because I know that path they're walking on, and I know how much it sucks. It's not an easy way to say it, but as much as I wouldn't want to go through that, I know I went through it. I can help people because I went through it.
Yeah.
I have a friend who lost a son to suicide a few years ago, and she can help people who lose their children to suicide. Drug addictions or whatever. We all go through these different stories, so we can help one another.
And most
That's
importantly,
why
I
I
would
don't get mad at God when I go through bad things. I don't like them. I'm not like, hey, God, throw some more junk my
keep
way.
it
I want more
coming.
heartbreak right here. But I'm grateful because I learned more going through a trial than I would have learned walking down easy street.
Yeah.
You know.
And I mean, that's really, like you said, that's how you learn. That's how we
Yeah.
grow in our faith. Because honestly, if we lived a perfect life, if nothing happened to us, would we ever go to God and ask for help, seek help? No.
No, we wouldn't even bother talking to him.
There'd be no purpose. I mean, it's just, and then like you
Right.
said, like if we lived in a world that was peaceful, nothing, nothing's going on. It's just
Yeah.
love and joy
Yeah.
all around us all the time. I mean, I think a lot of people just thinking about kind of to myself. I'm like, yeah, that's not real. No way.
Well, that's why he wants us just to do it in our own sphere. Like, you have your neighbors, like they could be your physical neighbors or people a little bit further away. Love them.
But that's what I was gonna say. But you
Yeah,
can actually make that your world. You want a
yeah,
world full of peace and love. You can make it happen. Just
yeah,
treat everybody good. Do
yeah.
what you would want people to do to you. Love
Right.
thy neighbor.
Yes, exactly.
I'm
Exactly.
preaching again over here. Watch out, folks.
Oh, watch out, people. We're now into the preaching hour.
It's about to begin.
Speaking.
Um, kind of talk about your testimony a little bit too. How did you come to Christ? Have you always
Man,
had that connection, or
no, I wasn't raised in a religious household. um, my parents believed in God, but they weren't religious at all. Um, and so when I was like 4 years old, I had a cousin. So I was my mom was 42 when I was born. So all of my cousins are older than way older. They're like my brother's age. They're all teenagers. So when I was 4 years old, I was hanging out with one of my cousins, and she was like in her 20s. So this is like 1970-ish. So we're talking about kind of the weird, crazy churches and a lot of LSD. So
yeah,
she, so it was a fun time, the 70s. Let me tell you what.
good times?
Good times, people. Um, so she was hanging out in her bedroom with her friend and wanted her annoying little cousin out of there. And so she told me, "You need to go hang out with your mom and dad because Jesus is going to come tonight and he's going to come take all the little children." And that was my introduction to Jesus because I'm like, "Well, who is this dude and why is he going to take me? What did I do wrong? Why is he taking from my mom and dad? I love my mom and dad." So I was all freaked out from this guy named Jesus.
This Jesus.
This Jesus guy, who is he? So anyway, so I kind of grew up like not believing, and then I was like more like an atheist. I could argue science with all my religious friends, and so I had a friend who was older. She was a little bit older than me, and she was married and had kids. And so she was belonged to the Calvary Baptist Church, and so we would argue praying and religion, and I tell her she's dumb all the time. And so I was like coming up to be I was about 19. And so she was like going, "I want you to pray." She challenged me to pray. And I was like, "You're nuts. Why am I going to talk to this person? You're crazy. He's not even there." She goes, "Just do it. Just shut up and do it." I said, "Okay." So I didn't know how to pray. And I got down on my knees and in the bathroom with the door shut. I thought that's what you're supposed to do, somewhere dark, right? Um, and and I started praying. And I said, now, I never asked God, "Prove yourself to me." I hear this from atheists all the time. "Prove to me you're there. Hit me with lightning." I'm like, I don't know why you'd ask somebody to hit you with lightning, number
No,
one.
thank you.
But yeah, no, I'm good. Um, so so I just said in a prayer, I said, "I don't know who you are. I don't know where you are. I don't know where to look for you. But I don't know. Help me find you. Help me look for you. Where do I even start?" And it was like this, like a cone of light. And I came down, and at the end of it, I saw the Savior. And he said, "Come find me." And I was like, that's why I'm here. I don't know where to look. So, and when I had that experience, I'm going to tell you, right, I didn't know that was not like a normal thing. I didn't know what it was. I was just like, okay, well, fine. What do I do? So I started reading the Bible, and I think I got through like the second chapter in Genesis, and I was like, I don't get what is this. I was dating a guy at the time who was a Catholic, who went to the Catholic church. So I thought, well, I'll make him go to church, take me to church. So I went to church, and it was beautiful. Catholic churches are gorgeous. But it just didn't feel right. There wasn't anything there. I didn't feel anything. So I kept going and looking, and it wasn't like all the time. I was not super committed to where like I'm gonna find this now. It was like, I do it here, I do it there, I do it here. And I went with my friend to her Calvary church, and that was really fun. The preacher was really great. He was real fun. But it struck me weird that none of the children were with the parents. They had taken all the children went to, like, I guess, their Sunday school, and now parents were like being. I thought that was weird. I don't know why. I just thought, well, we brought your kids. Why aren't you all together?
Yeah.
So then, and so then I prayed again. This was probably maybe, I don't know, several months later. Same thing. I don't know where to find you. What am I doing? I'm looking, right? Am I looking in the wrong place? Same exact thing happened where it was just like this tunnel and it came down and there was a savior and he said, come find me. And I was super frustrated. I'm like, that's what I'm doing, but I don't know what to do, you know? So then I met my first husband, and when we got together, and he was also a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, but he was um, not active. He had other poor choices he was making, but his family was really active. So we went to one of his cousins got baptized. And in our religion, we baptize at the age of 8 because we feel that's the age of accountability where a child can know right from wrong. So I went to that, and the baptism was really cool. And she received the gift of the Holy Spirit by laying on of hands, and all of it was cool. And I was like, asking him all these questions. What is this? What is that? Da 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 da. And he's like, go ask my grandpa. And his grandpa intimidated me. His grandpa, as I got to know him, was one of the greatest guys I knew, but just intimidated me. I'm like, I'm not going to grandpa. You tell me. I'm married to you. I'm not going there. So that this time I was working at the mall in Riverside in a pet store, and he came and brought me lunch, and he put my lunch down. He goes, the missionaries are coming over tonight. Ask all the questions you want. I said, I don't want to talk to missionaries. What are you insane? I don't want to talk to these people. I want to talk to you. He goes, no, I'm not answering your question. So the missionaries came over, and let me tell you, so missionaries in our church are like 19-year-old kids at that time. And I was 20, 21. Yeah, no, I was almost 20. Yeah, I was 21. Yeah. So they were a little bit my age. But so my first husband was like 6'3", he could look intimidating. He was like very kind of a big guy, blue eyes, blonde hair. So he went up to these poor missionaries in the mall and scared them and said, you're coming to my house tonight to teach my wife. And they were like, okay, we're coming.
All right.
Like he went up and scared the missionaries. Anyway, so they came over that night and they were great. And they answered all my questions. And I don't know, it just all made sense. It all clicked in my mind. And I started reading the Book of Mormon. And it really made sense because I don't know if you've ever had experience of reading the Book of Mormon, but it was translated by one person, and it's not as confusing, I guess, to say as the Bible can be, because the Bible is translated by a lot of different people.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just really straightforward in a lot of places, so I understood. And I was baptized. I was 22 years old and got baptized into the church, and I was pregnant with our first son. And then we didn't go to church for a long time. So it wasn't like immediately I was converted. It was like I received the ordinances of baptism, but then it took a while because my husband was still struggling with issues that he was dealing with. And it was hard for him to go to church because he never felt worthy enough to go to church, even though he was, he had to work through things.
Mm-hmm.
So it took a long time, but it was, it was really reading the scriptures, going to church, receiving sacrament, and learning what everything meant, learning what the ordinances meant, learning what the Savior did, learning and going through my trials, like, the trials that we went through within my marriage, within losing my husband. It was learning those things that brought me closer to Christ, and moving up here was such a blessing. And it was hard for me to leave everything. And I kind of joke and said, I came up here kicking and screaming. My husband was just so excited to be here, but I was like, no, but I'm not going. But it's been like the greatest thing. Yeah, there's no beach. Why am I here? But and even the Great Salt Lake isn't great anymore. But it's just, I don't know. It's grown in my testimony. It was those moments that brought me to my knees and broke my heart and shattered me is what brought me to Christ, is what brought me to learning to lean on him, and that his promises are true. If I'm doing what I'm supposed to do and I'm keeping close to my covenants that I made with him at baptism, and going through our temple and those covenants I've made and promises I've made with him, I'm true to those. He can't back away from the promises he's made to me.
No.
He promised me things. As long as I keep my promises, he promises he will be there. And he has been there. When I've broken some of my promises and my choices, I felt the Spirit leave me. And I've known he's still been there, but he wasn't there. You know what I mean? Like, he was kind of distant off because I pushed him away for a while sometimes. But when I brought him back, he's just been there tenfold. And he's always there.
Well, I want to kind of touch on that a little bit. from my own
Mm.
experience, because I was kind of deep in prayer not too long ago about this same topic a little bit, where we feel like God leaves us, and really it's us that turn away from Him.
Yeah.
And I don't think a lot of us realize that, because you think about like a perfect example, everything's going smooth, everything's going great in your life. You're just cruising through everything. Everything's just all these doors are opening. You're like, yeah, life is good. Then all of a sudden it stops, and then everything kind of starts going south. And then you start questioning God. You ask Him, like, what's going on? Why did it stop happening? It's like, because you let go of my hand. You started doing
Yeah.
stuff with your own. And now that's what
Mhm.
I always try to tell people, especially just you have to deny yourself, man. You gotta let go of that ego, because what ego stands for is edging God out. You have to let it go.
I like that. I
You
like
have
that. I
you
never
have
thought of
you have
that.
to let the ego go. And as soon as you do that, and you just allow Jesus, our Lord and Savior, to take over for your life. I mean, it might be hard. It might kind of sound weird at first too, especially if you're first getting into it.
Yeah.
But as soon as you do that and allow Him to keep leading you every step of the way, because He never leaves us. It's us that kind of turn away from Him. And He's
Right.
always there, always. And I even feel it now that I'm talking about it. That Holy Spirit starts working through you.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
He's always right there with His hand, His arms always extended out, saying, "Let's go. Continue to follow
Yeah.
me." Like when you were praying to Him, He said, "Come find me. Come find
Yeah. 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 And I didn't know that was like not like people I've talked to that are members of our church or outside. They've never had that experience, and I'm like, oh, I didn't know. I thought everyone had that. I didn't know. So and I don't know why he did that to me. Maybe it's because he knows my spirit inside. He knows what a rebellious little brat I am. So, he was forcing me, he was showing me himself saying, okay, I am real. I'm sure, but you have to do the work to come find me. I'm not just gonna pop it in your lap. And that's what he does, like, knock and it shall be open, seek and ye shall find. In Matthew, when he says that, well, of course he says that because we have to work at it. He's not going to just go, here you go, I'm going to just give it all to you. Nope, we have to work because we have to earn. Our testimonies are so personal, but they're so strong, and they have to be built on his foundation, or else they're no good. And how do you build a foundation? Well, you got to work at it. I mean, when you build a house, it doesn't just pop, open. You start with that foundation. You got to make it strong, and you build up from there. And that's how it is with him.
And a lot
You
of
know.
people, I hear somebody talking right now saying, "Oh, this is an angry God up in the clouds." No, God's It's not even up in the clouds. I mean, you guys can believe that. To me personally, in my own experience, God is with us. He's inside of us everywhere we go. We sit there talking, we're looking and searching for God, but all along, we're from God. The soul is inside of us. We're connected.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, because we've been studying a lot the Sermon on the Mount this week in our church. And I love when he talks about, when he talks about how birds, right? The swallow doesn't reap nor does it sow, and the Lord takes care of him. And are we not more greater than the birds? I mean, he's going to take care of us. The lilies in the field, how they bloom, and the Lord takes care of us just like that. He's going to.
What's funny about that verse is how much that verse has been with me throughout my entire life. And I never really understood. I never read that verse until later in life. But I would always tell people that. How do you trust in God so much? Because people would always ask me. Even when I was younger, people would ask me, why do you trust in God so much? Because I would always say, I'd be like, I look around me, I was like, if He can take care of the birds, if He can take care of all the animals, the trees, and everything all around me, He can take care of me too. And I never knew about that verse until later in life, and I'm
Wow,
like,
that's
wow.
amazing.
So when I first read that verse, I'm like, wow, I had this inside me the whole time, and I didn't even realize it.
You already had that. See, look at that. You already had that testimony of that. You didn't even know it.
It's like it was already there. Pretty much God was saying that to me, and it was coming out. And I just,
Yeah, that's awesome. Love it. Well, and like I'm being a mother. I've had situations where my children have stopped talking to me. They've cut me in and out of their lives here and there for their own, whatever, and we get through it. But when I'm in the midst of that, when I'm having this issue with a child, and I pray to the Lord, and then I think my heart breaks because I think how I'm feeling with one child who's like not talking to me for whatever reason. How must he feel with all of so many children who keep turning their backs on him?
Yeah.
And how he keeps loving us, though. He's there. He loves us as much as he loves those children, the ones that are doing the work and are right there with him. He loves us as much as he loves that child over there that is denying him. And it humbles me, and I think, oh my gosh, how. And that's how I turn to. I go, Heavenly Father, how do you handle this? Because I'm done right now. I can't get up right now. How do you deal with this? And then I just feel his love and his strength that picks me up. And I'm like, okay, we can do it together. We'll get through this,
We'll never truly understand God fully. We'll never be able to comprehend everything that God does.
Yeah.
We can't be God. But that's what I love about God, is no matter what we do, no matter how many times we say we're not going to make that mistake ever again, we promise God this, we say this and that, but in the end, God's always going to love us because God is love. He's always going to love us.
He just wants us to do better and to be better, and that's why he gives us repentance, to give us the opportunity. And repentance is great. I mean, I go with this in my mind: repent relentlessly. So I'm always, because I might not be, I'm not out robbing banks or stuff like that, but I have thoughts that are not nice that come in my mind. I'm like, sorry, okay, I gotta repent for that. I gotta be better. I'm sorry, Lord. I know, but that's okay. Repentance is a good thing. People look at it bad, but I'm grateful for it because it brings us back to him all the time.
All right, guys. I'm sorry. The church hour is over. We got to get back to the story.
All right.
I hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, I hope you liked it. If you have any questions, please email us at we'reansweryourquestions.com.
Right here.
Subscribe.
Right
here.
Subscribe. We'll answer. All right. As we begin to wrap this thing up, I have just a few more questions. Can you share any advice for, say someone's looking to get into radio or possibly looking to do like voiceover stuff? What advice would you have for that person?
If you're getting into radio, run. No, I'm kidding.
Go.
I would say definitely. Man, that's such a good question because it's changing so much with, like you already need to have a brand and you already need to you got to learn streaming and stuff. I would say really investigate a school, go to a good school that's going to offer you things like voiceover classes, podcasting, streaming, learning your social medias, those things. Try and get into that. Personality, like on-air personality development is really important. So you got to go somewhere and learn this. Like maybe you can learn it by listening to other people. I think you can. But you got to do your research and you got to learn. I would say to start networking with people that are in the industry on social media is probably the best way to do it. Follow them, see what they do. How do they perform? Ask them questions. And I have a step grandson that wants to get into like zoology. And I'm like, okay, find who is the zoologist at your local zoo and reach out to them, because I promise you, they want to help you. If you really have an interest and a passion for something like this, reach out to people in the industry because they do want to help you. They do want to answer your questions. They will give you advice. Whether you take it or not is up to you. Maybe you know better. I don't know. But just really, you got to learn from people who are already doing it, and to see how and ask them, how did you get into it? What did you do? For me, it was school. For somebody else, it might be something different. But it really is like, networking, network, I guess.
Really just build that connection. Yeah. Get a feel for what you're chasing after.
And if you want to do voiceover, like reading books and stuff, put yourself in a closet with your phone and record yourself reading a book and stay in there for 10 minutes and see how long that makes you crazy. If you can do it, that's great, because when you're reading audiobooks, you're getting paid per audio minute, which means after you read and then you edit everything down, and editing takes time, that's what you're getting paid for. So, yeah, it takes time. But if you have a great voice, develop it more.
Yeah.
Read, learn, develop, record on your phone, learn programs. Like you can get, what is it? Is it Audacity that's free? I have Audition and I have to pay for that. But I think Audacity is for free. Download Audacity, start learning how to edit. There's tutorials how to do it, because you're going to have to do all the work yourself. You don't get to record and send to somebody. You do all the work.
Oh, sad face.
No, so actually I love editing. That's kind of my favorite thing to do. It's
Yeah.
fun. But yeah.
At first, okay, editing's kind of tough at first for if nobody's familiar with it. It can be stressful at first, but after a while, you get the hang of it. Practice makes
Hey,
perfect.
okay, when I went to school, everything was on tape, like reel-to-reel tape.
Mm,
So like when I had an audio project due, I had to record the project, and I did music. I did a whole bunch of snippets of music. And then you had to go and you get the reel-to-reel. You would play it right to the point where you wanted to edit. You'd have to take a grease pencil and cut here and cut here. And then you had to splice perfectly and then tape it back together. And you had to be perfect that it didn't mess up, because if you screwed up on the tape, you had to do the whole thing over again, because you couldn't go back and delete and start over like you do
Yep.
now. So it's a lot easier nowadays.
How the times have changed.
I know, right?
It made it so much easier.
It's easier and harder, but it's way, way easier.
I was just thinking too, like, wow, the tape. Oof.
Oh
You
yeah.
mess up just
I mean,
a little bit.
yeah, I had friends who worked in radio during that time, and they would have to edit the commercials that would go on there on the tape. And they said it was so stressful, because if you messed up the commercial that the sponsor paid for, you could get fired right there. It was like, oh my God,
Don't mess it up.
don't mess it up, man.
All right,
Yeah.
some random questions now. Bonus questions had nothing to do with your career at all.
Okay.
But
Oh, great. This is
let's see if you're on your game. No.
okay.
Okay. If you could go anywhere in the world, it's all paid, all the expenses are taken care of. Where are you gonna go?
Oof. I think I would like to go. I'd love to go to Greece, because I think it's beautiful. I have found out through like ancestry DNA that I have family from Ireland and England, so I'd love to go there. And Scotland, I'd love to go and visit those places and see all that. And probably Hawaii. I guess we're gonna have to throw in Hawaii.
Yeah, I can see that. For me, like I've told people before, the answer for me is everything is paid for, right? I can go anywhere, right? Well, I want to go anywhere. Take me everywhere. I want to go everywhere.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, it's hard to pick a place,
I want to see it
Man.
all. I want to see everything that is anything outside Ohio right now. Take me somewhere where it's warm.
It's warm. Go down to Alabama. It's a little warmer down there.
Take me to somewhere where it's at least about 70, 80.
Florida. Yeah, Florida right now.
I want to go somewhere where it's nice. And I don't have to deal with bipolar weather right now.
Yeah, exactly.
I can
I hear
actually
ya.
go for a walk and take a hike and not have to worry about what I'm wearing that day. I can just wear some
Yeah.
shorts, some khaki shorts.
You wear shorts and flip flops and you're good.
Like, I'm good. All right, let's see. Question number 2. If you could have any car, what would you like?
Ooh. Have to be a '66 Mustang,
Okay.
fire engine run,
Any particular reason?
because I love Mustangs. They're awesome cars. And '66 the year I was born, and red's my favorite color.
Now, the same question
And
for
that's
me.
good. Yeah, what would you do? That's a good question for you right now, actually.
It's a good question. I mean, because I like a lot of cars. I'm more of a classic car guy. I'd like to have like what are they called? One of the first Fords. I like to have one of them. Like one
Oh yeah.
of the very first Fords that came
Model
out.
T.
Yeah,
Model T Ford.
yeah, I like to have
Oh, that was
one of
cool.
them classic
Yeah.
ones. Not on a windy,
Yeah,
stormy day, but just to drive around.
that would be cool. Yeah, that'd be fun.
Like that'd be kind of cool, man. Just to have one of those, just an antique car, just to drive around. It'd be cool.
Yeah, that would be cool. That would be fun.
Uh,
Rumble seat in the back.
Final question.
Okay.
I was just thinking too about the horn too. Beep beep boop boop. Final question. Let's see what we got here. If you could pick any career other than one that you're in right now, what would you choose?
Probably working like with killer whales, like maybe an oceanographer,
Okay.
being out there with the sea mammals. Yeah, I would. That was one of my other odd choices I wanted. That was to train them, but I'd rather just be out there and watch them.
I could, yeah.
Yeah.
Be out there
What
with the
about you?
whales.
Yes.
You ever
I
stood
want to
next
swim
to a
with them.
whale? You ever been next to a whale?
Not besides SeaWorld. No. I've wanted to.
Them boys are big.
They're huge.
They're
Yeah.
huge,
Have
man.
you ever had that experience?
Oh
Got
yeah,
any big-
I've had the opportunity to stand next to one.
Oh wow.
And yeah, man, I left.
That's amazing.
My crazy self wanted to actually sit on top of him.
Yeah. I want to go kayaking and swimming with them, and my husband's like, no. I'm like, oh, come on.
Yeah, but the person I was with at the time did not want me to do it. They're like, "Oh, I'm
See?
scared." I'm like, come on, it's so much. Let's do it. We can actually sit on the whale.
Holding us back.
Well, hopefully we don't end up like, what was it, Jonah? We get swallowed by the whale.
Well, yeah, Jonah, he got himself in that trouble though. He wasn't listening.
Hopefully we don't end up like him, get spitted out by a whale. But hey, at least he got spitted out.
Yeah, well, he's got spit out. He's good. He learned something.
Now for me, the same question. I'd be a professional wrestler.
Oh yeah. What would your name be? Sea Dog?
Sea
Dog
Dog.
the-
No, that sounds like a rapper name. I don't know. That'd be a good question. I never thought of that part. What would my wrestler name be?
You'd be Chris Baker of Bones.
The
Breaker,
Bone.
yeah.
The Bones.
Instead of Breaker of Bones, you're the Baker of Bones.
The Breaker. No, I'm the Baker. The Baker.
Baker of Bones.
I'd come out in a cook outfit, chef outfit.
That'd be funny.
I'm about to bake you.
I'm gonna bake you up.
After I'm done with you, I'm gonna throw you in the oven. You're done in the oven.
You're done.
You're done.
Like,
I'm
you
finished with you. I'd say I'd make it about 5 years before they canceled my gig. Like, all right, we're tired of this baker fella. Let's get him out of here.
You could come in your little Model T car.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be funny. Come out, that totally unexpected coming down the entrance.
Yeah.
Baker comes out the car.
That would be funny.
All right, everybody. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to the story of Vicki. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned a lot too. I mean, we've been on here for how long? About an hour.
Almost 2 hours.
You better be taking notes. Whoever's watching, listening, you better be writing this stuff down.
Or it help you fall asleep. Whatever. I'm here to do whatever.
Yeah. If you took a nice little cat nap and you're waking up, welcome back. Glad you can join us.
Yeah. Exactly.
Now, if you want, you can slowly rewind this back.
Yeah. Rewind.
Catch up what you missed out on, especially the preaching. That was awesome. That was amazing.
Preaching. That's right. That was a good time. Thank you for that. Thank you for asking that question.
Nice little testimony we had there.
Yeah.
And also for anybody that's really watching and listening right now, if you made it this far and you would like to be on possibly be my next guest, this is a platform for everybody. Everybody can come on. Doesn't matter who you are. I want to hear your story next. That's what it's all about. Everybody has a story. So if you want to come on, just subscribe to me, talk to me. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. I think I'm on every platform pretty much. I'm on Twitter, all that, everything. But if you really want to contact me, it's LinkedIn. And then once you contact me and saying you want to tell your story, we'll make it happen. I'll set up an invitation for you, a date and a time that works best for you, and then you'll be on here next telling your story and being on maybe 2 hours, 3 hours, who knows how long your story wants to go.
Yeah, everyone has a story. I love it.
But other than that, I want to say, Vicki, thank you for coming on and just telling your story. Like I said in the beginning, it's truly a privilege and an honor just to be able to sit back and joke with you, just shoot the shoot the dice.
Shoot the breeze. Shooting the breeze here. Now, thank you, Chris, so much for reaching out to me and finding value in my story. I appreciate you. I appreciate everything you're doing, and it's just been an honor. It's been my honor, my privilege to be here. Thank you, and thank you to everyone who took the time to watch and listen. I love you.
Emotional. But all right, everybody, that is it for today. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Until next time, this is Chris. That's Vicki. We're out. Peace.
Regular, gluten-free, dairy-free, vegan, you name it. It's also your local place for 55 Exchange ice cream. And you can book our pound cake food truck for an event. Come say hello to us in the bakery on Old Greenville Highway in Clemson. And be looking for our new Greenville location on East North Street coming soon. For more information, visit our website at lbcakes.com. The Pound Cake Man.